I was diagnosed back in 2002, just 3 weeks after my mother passed from lung cancer. She was a smoker, but little did I know that I already had the disease in me in the way of melanoma. I was in the sauna all my life. I joke that I learned how to swim before I learned how to walk. I did surfing, sports, used to play a little bit of professional tennis, played NCAA Division I tennis. And basically, I was in the sauna all the time. I think that's what got me ill. The whole thing started in August 2002. I fought the disease for 10 years until July 2012. My programming was to run into somebody with a white coat to help me out. And so I did start with chemo and radiation. But thank God I was able to be operated. I had 10 surgeries and I don't know how many biopsies in 10 years. But in year 8, I had 8 tumors to be exactly, and 2 of them were not operable. I just realized that nothing was working. It was a pattern: surgery, remission, treatment, and recurrence, and so forth. I felt like a guinea pig. So I decided at that point, when they were giving me chemo for my brain, it was capsules. After I took 1 week of that, I was in prayer, and something told me, I wasn't in a chapel. I think it was the Lord that said, hey, you know what? Stop all this stuff. You don't need that stuff. And I took a leap of faith. I have doctors in the family, and my wife herself is in the medical field as an ultrasound tech. Are you crazy? This and that. I said, I know what I'm doing. First of all, I'm going to clean myself. So I went to a naturopath, and we did a detox program. It was 21 days. When I talked to him the first time, somebody, an angel, I have many of them, told me about this guy. So I went to see him. I live in Miami, Florida, but I went up to Fort Lauderdale, talked to him. He told me a few things. And the main thing that I got from him was the pH levels in my body. He showed me how acid my whole body was, not only from the chemo, but obviously, I guess, stress and things like that, producing a lot of cortisol and so forth. I went through almost a month and a half doing that. And then he gave me some samples and menus and stuff. But on the second phase, that's it. You're going to go completely plant-based. And that's what I did. I started to become an advocate for this. So after I talked to him and I did some praying, I went to my oncologist. I told him that I was quitting everything. The only thing I was not going to stop was doing follow-up checks. So I started the journey that way. And as I kept going back, they could not believe it. Along the way, I studied the digestive system. I did functional nutrition for Andrea Nakayama in California, and several other certifications, particularly on holistic coaching. I became a student of melanoma and a student of cancer, and started looking at not only on dieting, but as I call the other 3 legs of the table. When I coach, I use the metaphor of a 4-legged table: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So I was looking where was my weakest link. As I changed to the natural route, I also worked a lot on my emotions and some areas where I needed to be forgiven or forgive myself or forgive others. That was very important. And I'm telling you, 90% of the time, the weakest one is the spiritual. And also there's a lot of emotion there, a lot of stuff that people carry on through the years since they're really very little. 5 years old even. And so there's a lot of work there. My previous life, I was an engineer, software engineer. But when I was sick and survived, it was a message from God saying, that wasn't the song you were born to sing. You were born to help others. It was a divine message to say that I had to change. And it took longer than I thought. I had to have patience. But here I am, 11 years later, and I'm cancer-free. My goal is to help others reach optimal health and wellness and life purpose. Because as you know, many people, including family members, don't know what they're here for. Our best coach is our intuition and our intelligent self. You are the co-pilot, not the driver. The moment that you do that, things change. It's amazing